Hello and welcome to the third part of our little tutorial series making this little marble character, this marble monster type of dude. In today's tutorial we'll take a look at how to texture and light our little character right here. As always, there's going to be a free resource file in the description below that you can download from my Gumroad completely for free. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and drop a like, it helps me out a lot. If you have any comments, any questions, make sure to write them down in the comment section below. I always tend to go and check out some inspiration or questions that you guys might have. In any case, let's get into it. This is where we left off last time with our little buddy right here. This is the current animation that we have. Let me just restart the whole thing. So right now we have this little ball of happiness just squirming around. So what I want to do first is start with the light. I started to do this more, so I usually would go with texturing and then I would go to light the subject, but right now I feel like I want to go with some light settings. In this case specifically, I have a kind of a specific vision of what I want it to look like. It's just going to be this, a super simple background in the back and just a light on top of the character. When it comes to this type of lighting, less is more. You can check out many other tutorials. I also have some additional tutorials after this series working a bit more on light. I also have a preset sort of plugin add-on in the works for lighting presets for first photography and this type of portrait style thing, and then working towards other stuff. But for now, let's start with the light in our scene. Now, before we do that, I'm just going to go under my render settings. I'm going to change from EV to cycles. I'm going to change the device from CPU to GPU. Now, by default, Blender is going to set up this max samples to be 1000. You don't need that for the viewport. 35 is more than enough. And for the render, I'm just going to presume that 200 samples is going to be fine. These are, however, settings that we can also come later and adjust them later. For now, I just want to go under fill and click the transparent. That means that whenever we're gonna render this, it's not gonna show the background, it's just gonna show like an empty space. So right now I'm ready to just press Shift Z and go and see what my render looks like. Okay, so this is what it looks like right now. It has a bit of coloring, and this is because if we go into our world properties, you still have the strength here open. This is something that I see with a lot of people that are beginners. This is just a tip. If you want to have a better kind of reproduction, I think you should just turn the strength to 0 so everything is just completely black. Now, if I press Shift A and add a light, I'm going to add a area light. I'm going to press GZ and just pop it up so it's kind of like this. So we have just a nice direct light from the top. And now with this area light selected, I'm going to go down below object data properties and I'm going to set it up to something strong like 250 watts. So it's really illuminating the scene. And then I'm just going to increase the size. So the bigger the size, the less defined the shadows, the smaller the size, the sharper the shadows. You can see it right here. So the shadows start to become very defined. In my case, I just want to go for a softer shadow look, but you can do however you want. Play around with these settings like shadow caustics, try some more power, less power, but I would keep it super simple in this case, just this one area light. What I also tend to do in my rendering lighting / projects, I just add a new collection, right click on the outliner, new collection, and I just rename it to lights. And usually there I'll put the lights so I can just easily access it and then just check what's happening there. These are looking good. I'll be using some textures that I've prepared in advance in Substance Sampler, but these are going to be available in the link in the description, so feel free to download them and use them in any projects you want. These are 4K textures, super high definition, so more than welcome to use them. So how do we set up the textures? So I'm just going to press Z and go back into my viewport right here. I want to do some stuff before I move forward, and precisely I want to unwrap these guys. Now, if you're a beginner and if you don't know what UV unwrapping is, it means that your texture will follow the object more properly. Right now, we have the problem that we have this solidify thing over here. So what I want to do is just apply the solidify for all of my boys right here. I'm not going to do it in this case, but usually I would make just a copy of some of the pieces and then put them aside, again, like we did with the track in the first tutorial, just in case I have any changes or something like that coming later on. So I'm just going to apply the solidify across the board like this. I'm just applying, so I have all of these guys nice and ready. And now, as you can see, we have our little boy right here. What I want to do is just turn off the view of these modifiers so I can check stuff a bit better, so I can see where the edges are. I'm just going to choose the outside of our curves right here. And the way I'm choosing this is just Alt Shift and then right clicking. And this is going to choose the loop of the thing that you want to choose. And here I'm just shift clicking. So I'm choosing just the seams that are going to be used for the UV unwrapping. Now, there's plenty of resources. Blender Guru has a great tutorial on that. There's plenty of people that explain this way more precisely. I'm just showing you what's going to work for our little project right here. And when I'm done with this, I just press Ctrl E and then mark seam, and then press A twice, U, and then just unwrap. And this means that the object right here is unwrapped. Now, let me show you what this means. So the top part, I'll arrange it to be a UV editor, and the bottom one is going to be a shader editor. Go into edit mode, and you can see how our little UV map here is distributed. If I go back, you can see how it was before. So this means that some of the tiles would be crossing each other, stuff like that. So right now I just have this setting. Another thing that you can do, it's actually just choose the elements that you want to copy. So for example, this one doesn't have the UV maps still. Shift select the one that has the UV maps, and you can press Ctrl L and then copy UV maps. Now, if you choose the element, you can also see that it copied the exact UV maps. So I'm just going to do the same for the rest of the elements. I just chose all of them like that with the one that has the UV maps already unwrapped in the bottom part, and then just checking that it copied all of them. And that's perfect. That's exactly how it should work. Okay, so I'm just going to return everything back. So I'm shade smoothing, I'm reopening all of my modifiers like that, and I have everything ready now for shading. I'm going to go into my viewport shadings. We'll be seeing kind of a preview of our textures, and now it's time to set up our textures. So for the textures, we're going to use very simple stuff. We're going to use something that is metallic and something that is wooden. Somehow it has a really nice contrast. So I'm going to start by choosing just one of these. So I'm just going to choose one of the arcs and add new. This is going to add a new material, and I'm going to name this wood. Super simple. Now for this next part, you need to go under edit. You will need the node wrangler, I think it's called, or node something add-on. So this is going to allow you to use a shortcut that helps you set up PBR maps super fast. So I'm just going to press Shift Control T by having the principled BSDF selected, and this is going to open up a window. Now you want to search for the resources that you want to use within the map that you've downloaded. So for example, if you've downloaded the resources that are available for free with this project, you can just go and then find the allocated map. And this map should have, I think, 6 or 7, something like that, maps. So basically you'll need like a base color, a displacement, metallic, normal, and roughness. These are the ones that we actually need. The alpha and the emissive are completely irrelevant here. And once you are done selecting them, just click Principled Texture Setup, and it's going to put all of these guys nice in order. Cool. So you can see it's already working. We just want to kind of nudge it a bit around. So first thing, I'm just going to lower the displacement down to like 0.02. You can see it right here. Normal map, maybe we can increase it, maybe we can decrease it. Maybe we can go a bit more overboard so that a bit more of this detailing is going to be visible. And then the scale, what you can do is just left click on the X, Y, Z, drag your mouse down so it selects all 3 of them. And if you hold Control and then drag your mouse, you will see that it increases the amount. Another thing I want to do is just rotate on the Z axis by 90 degrees. So I have this nice little wavy part of the texture right there. So now we might be asking, okay, we need to repeat this process for everything. No, again, we will just shift click and choose all of these guys right here. So all of the white arches that haven't been, let's say, textured yet, choose the one with the texture last, and then just press Shift Q. This is going to open this material utilities part also and copy materials to selected. If that option isn't available to you, you can also repeat the same process, but instead of the shortcut, you just come to the right part, material specials, and copy material to selected. I'm kind of bothered by these two guys because they're kind of going against the grain. So what do I want to do here? I'm going to go again under this drop down menu and click copy material. Then I'm going to press the minus, so I kind of take away the material, press add a new material. I'm going to rename this one to be wood, I don't know, 2. Now I'm just going to press again this little drop down menu and press paste material. And now if I rotate the Z back to 0, you'll notice that all of the grains are following exactly as they should. So I'm just going to choose the other one and then again choose the one whose grains are going in the right way. Press Shift Q, copy materials to select it. And boom, we have our nice little materials right here, all done and ready. What I want to do now is just add the metal material. It's going to be super easy, super fast. So we repeat the same process, add new material. I'm going to call this one, I don't know, iron, something like that. Choose the principled BSDF, just click on the principled BSDF, Shift Control T. Now I'm going to find my iron brushed material, principled texture setup, and this is going to add it into my scene right here. Lower down the displacement so it's not as harsh, maybe increase the strength of the normal to about 3, something like that. Maybe we can also rotate a bit our situation right here, something like that. Copy the same material to the previous one. Again, same trick, shortcut with the Shift Q, copy materials to selected, and we have them nice and ready. I don't know, for fun, let's just copy the same material to our teeth. So copy materials to selected, and they're going to look like that. So I'm just going to close my shading section. So let's press Shift Z twice, and this is how it looks like. It's kind of interesting. Like, I love this singular like lamp sort of area effect. I think it's actually really going to come into play. So if I just play it, you can see how it like just creates a bit of interest whenever it's moving. You have the nice shadows, you have nice reproduction of stuff. Let me just recenter this bad boy a bit. Maybe I can pull it up slightly, something like that. Make it maybe even a bit stronger, like 300 watts, something like that. So we have like this nice little dude right here. So let's set up a quick camera and a quick background, and I'm gonna do those things in conjunction because I have a really neat trick to show you. So I'm going to go with Shift S cursor to world origin, so I return my cursor where it should be. I'm going to Shift A, add a camera. Now with the middle mouse, I just scroll around so I find a nice angle. And with the camera selected, I just press Control Alt 0 on my numpad. And this is going to center the camera wherever I was looking from. Under my output properties, I just changed the resolution from 1920 to 1080. And I do that because it can happen a lot of the times that you need something in a 1920 by 1080 and something in a 1080 by 1920 format. So if I do something like this and maybe bring the camera back by pressing GZ twice, so Z pressing twice, I bring it back. And if I now correct the aspect to 1.6, you can see it kind of works. And if I correct it to here, it kind of stretches out. So maybe even a bit further, it's going to work perfectly. I just use these XY aspects to check out if everything is working fine in terms of composition. I'm going to click on the render region, which actually allows this file to render whatever is just inside of the frame. Everything else is just going to remain unrendered. Now for our little background right here, I'm going to show you a super simple, super quick solution. Just Shift A, add a plane, and this is going to be our plane, like our background. I'm going to press S and scale it up as much as I can. I'm going to go under this object constraint properties, and I'm going to add a object constraint track to camera. So the target, I'm going to click in the search and then just type in camera. And this is going to now orient our little dude towards the camera. So the background is going to be oriented towards the camera. What I want to do is just press G and then Z twice, which is going to move it backwards like that. I try to find like a kind of neutral light influence. I can press 0 to go back into my camera so I can see exactly what's happening. Click on our little lamp area that we had right there. Shift D to duplicate it, and I'm going to move it behind our little guy right here. And I'm going to go again under my object constraints and click track to, and then target plane. So this is going to be the background that we have used. You can see that here it's clipping a bit. So I just press G and Z twice, move it more towards the background. And now we have like this splotchy little background right here. You can also go inside of the camera, move the light there. Like just check out where you would like to have this little buddy. Like for this light, I usually go in size a bit bigger, and also I use a shape of a disc, not a square. At least that's what I usually do. Maybe we can move the whole thing a bit down so it's a bit more centered. And then I just increase the value to something like, I don't know, maybe 500, something really strong. And again, I want to increase the size maybe even more. So I get sort of this like almost loose kind of vignetting effect. Now I choose whatever color. You can just choose your background, add a new material. Let's rename this into background. And we can add some type of like very, I don't know, neutral, something like a very uniform color. That's just going to make our centerpiece pop out a bit more. Some like this dirty green kind of, yeah, this is kind of fly. This kind of works actually. And again, if you see, like, for example, now if I look at it, I really like this black part right here, but I don't really like this part being kind of half lit. So now in my case, I would either take this area light and try moving it around. So I find like a point at which this guy is going to have like the most definition. So it's going to have nice shiny and nice less shiny, more dark part. Another thing I can do is just Shift D, duplicate again that area lamp, and maybe I can just duplicate one and put one right there. Again, make sure that you don't have super dark spots because those are going to be very difficult to even out. So you can maybe just select the background and push it back even further. In that case, don't forget about your area light right here. So make sure you push that bad boy as well. And if you see again this like super strong vignetting effect, you can always increase the size and increase the power. This is usually how I go about this stuff. Let me just turn off the overlays and the gizmos so I can see a bit more precisely what's happening right here. So yeah, this is kind of okay. I think in some cases it like covers the element a bit, does something a bit weird, but I don't know, kind of works. So you can see the eyes just traveling around with the mouth right there. You can also try and find like a different camera angle. We won't be going into camera animation right here, but so essentially that's going to be it for the texturing and lighting portion of this series. So now you have your guys nice and lit. In the last tutorial, we'll take a look at how to render this stuff out. I have intentionally left some stuff out when it came to like baking rigid bodies, stuff like that, just so you see what can happen when you don't do that when you start rendering. So that's going to be it for this tutorial. Hopefully you've learned something useful. Hopefully you learned something new. In the next one, we'll be taking a look at how to render everything out. I'll show you how to bake the rigid body system so everything renders out properly, how to set up the basic stuff in terms of rendering, and hopefully you'll have a nice little marble monster creation by the end of this tutorial series. As always, the resource file is available for free on my Gumroad in the description below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you follow up on any videos that come later on. Drop a like, I always appreciate those, and let me know what you think about the series and just the general channel in the comment section below. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.